great segue to introduce my next speaker, which is Sarah Corry from the City of Canada Bay. Sarah is the Community Engagement Co-ordinator for Canada Bay Council, New South Wales, Australia. Sarah develops and rolls out the community's consultation strategies across all areas of the organisation. Her focus is to build internal capabilities and drive a culture of two-way communication and collaboration between citizens and the councils to build a successful city into the future. Welcome, Sarah.
Hi, how are you?
Really well. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's lovely to have you. I wondered whether you could give a little bit of context about your role at Canada Bay.
Sure. So I am, as you kindly introduced, the engagement coordinator here. I'm not going to be as high octane as Farley, unfortunately. I'm 36 weeks pregnant, so I'm a little bit lethargic. However, I'm very excited to be here. So I started with Council, City of Canada Bay Council in February in 2019, and we actually launched Collaborate Canada Bay, which is our HiVE website, in March. So we've been around for 2 years. As you said, Cindy, I run all of the community engagement in-house. And yeah, we've had a really awesome journey of growing our database and talking to our community. Before I came on board and before we actually introduced Collaborate Canada Bay, we didn't have a website, we didn't have a digital platform for community engagement. And I was the first community engagement officer that we had dedicated at the council, which is pretty incredible. Since we started in March 2019, we've grown our database to about 5,000 people, which is about 5% of our population. It's not a representative sample, but you know, we're working on it. And at this point, I think we have about 6,000 visits a month and an average of 500 submissions every month too. So we've had an awesome journey kind of building our engagement function in our council. So the City of Canada Bay is about 100,000 people. We live kind of near the Sydney CBD. We have a lot of foreshore, so we're very active, recreation focused and sustainability focused, because we have a lot of our city along the Parramatta River. And we've got a mix of really established suburbs and newer suburbs like Rhodes, which has grown by about 7,000 people in the last 10 years. So there's a real mix of high density, low density and change going on, I guess, which is probably common to most councils around the world at this phase.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And thanks for that bit of context. It was really interesting, really, in the early days of COVID. We saw a lot of organizations really have to scramble to respond and get up and running. But we saw externally that Canada Bay Council really seemed to flick the switch overnight. What was happening inside your organization that allowed you to respond in that way?
I mean, I think we definitely scrambled ourselves too. It was obviously such a crazy time. I think it was yesterday last year that we all went into that lockdown. So, you know, you kind of have those PTSD kind of sense at this point around how far we've come. But I think the reason that we were able to, I guess, flick a switch or you know, seem to be, I guess, responding to the challenges was because we had a real company or organization-wide approach. We had a continuity team that was formed, as well as a dedicated community engagement working group. So that had 7 different teams across council who would meet every week. And actually, I think in that first couple of weeks of lockdown, it was sometimes twice a week to talk about how we could, I guess, maintain connection with our community, which was really key. So we had the place team, the library services team, community services, venues, sustainability, the media team, and me in the community engagement officer role, kind of constantly talking to each other about, I guess, working on how we move face-to-face into the online while we can. And during that period, we basically formed our program, which was an outbound call center for vulnerable people. So, you know, it wasn't all digital. We were ramping up the home library service, so getting that to a lot more seniors and the CALD community as well. And then with the HiVE or Collaborate, what we essentially did was develop a digital community centre and a business support hub. So we kind of flipped the participation tools on their head to ask the community to continue to, I guess, talk to each other. And we really gravitated towards the HiVE because of the usability. I'm just going to up my screen because I can show you the front page. We've now actually moved it down because, oh, let me know when you can see that.
Yeah, we can see that.
Okay, great. So we basically have these two hubs that, differentiated between obviously user groups, but the idea was being as nimble and quick to respond and smart and real as possible. So using what was already established in the HiVE to not just focus on consultation, because, and I'm sure everyone here had the same issue, was how do we consult while the community is otherwise engaged. So we wanted to use it as a place of fun, but also approachable information too, which has worked really well, and we've had like really awesome kind of uptake.
Maybe we could just have a sort of a talk about that business hub that you created, because we saw you being one of the first to actually set up this dedicated hub. And how has that actually supported some of the economic recovery within your area?
Yeah, sure. So this is the page here. And just as an aside before I answer that, we've basically continued all of the work across both the community and the business recovery. Obviously, business recovery is going to take a lot longer than the community moving back to offline for baby rhyme time and all of that kind of thing. But this has allowed us, you can see with like Christmas windows and that kind of thing, to I guess continue using the HiVE long term for all these various groups, not just community consultation. But basically what we wanted to do for business was provide a place for them to understand what information, what grants, what services, government support packages were available to them in a specific, industry-specific way. So we had different tiles, and this one was a lot more information-based, but it's helped us to bring on people and businesses within the City of Canada Bay to become a hubster, we call them, which basically means they sign up to a regular email newsletter that we're still continuing now, which gives them all the information that's on this page, but also allows them access to a business recovery task force that we are running now as well. So that's kind of a mayoral program, but it means that we've now got a database of businesses that we can talk to on a regular basis and I guess move into consultation opportunities there as well. Which has been really great. And there's one other area that has worked really well in terms of helping to promote these businesses, which is the Love Local page. Now, I'm sure that a lot of other councils have run local shopping promotions and local business marketing projects, but this one has worked really well for us because you can actually, people can use the social map tool to upload information about their business, and particularly during that peak lockdown period, we were able to kind of talk to businesses and connect them with the community for takeaway services or various businesses that were still open and seeking patronage, basically.
Sarah, that would have built, I mean, obviously this has been going on now for 12 months, but that would have built a huge amount of trust and connection with your business community, I imagine. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think business community consultation, it can be difficult because, and particularly in times of, unrest or difficulty, because they are busy and they're just trying to keep themselves afloat. So having something where we were proactively working with them has definitely built an ongoing relationship that we can now kind of progress as we, I guess, recover.
Yeah, a really interesting case study there. But one of the things that Andrew and I spotted really early on was the diversity of projects that you presented, and some of the creativity and innovation that you delivered. And A Bug's Life was one of our early favorites.
Yes.
And I wanted to just ask, how were you able to pull this together when everyone was working from home? And what was the result of this?
Well, this one was really, really fun. So being in the community consultation space, I guess you don't always get to do like the coolest things, but this one was working really closely with the sustainability and the bush care team. So I guess you have to imagine going back to this point in time. Obviously, sustainability. All of our different teams have projects they want to deliver, and kids that are at home by themselves, with parents that are at home. Sorry, not at home by themselves, home from school, and parents that are working from home too. So we thought, how could we combine an informational tool, an educational tool, with something creative as well? So this was kind of around the school holiday period. So we thought bugs, cereal boxes, craft activities, like you can't really go wrong. And we've actually seen that since this, a little bit more information. So we have our bush care team leader, Kylie, who worked with our media team to shoot a bunch of YouTube videos. And we also had Jason Fu, who's a local artist, who was creating like a craft workshop as well. So we basically brought them together and pushed this out to all of our database and through social media. And we're actually still getting lots of views to this page and the YouTube videos because I think schools are still continuing to use it. Now, to the point of how do we kind of get this all done? Again, it just goes back to constant collaboration, and having everyone was really all hands on board. I know Vali said don't use MS Teams, but unfortunately at our council we were forced to use MS Teams. We still are, which has its issues. But we're also using cloud technology like OneDrive, just to kind of keep everyone afloat and aligned on version control and that kind of thing as well. So that one, is really fun if you want to check it out.
I think it's what's really interesting is that the ongoing communication and connection with the kids. Like we saw through COVID that many councils had to pivot in the way that they were actually talking across their community, and certainly trying to connect with young people and then continuing that voice has been something of an aspiration. So it's interesting to see that those voices have continued on.
Yeah.
How has the HiVE been able to support your organization's digital engagement ambitions, Sarah?
Well, it's kind of been as I said, it's the ground from the ground level. When I came on board, we'd already kind of started conversations with the HiVE, and started to build that website. So when I came on board, it was really like all systems go. I think in terms of the ambitions that we have, we started out with a very basic canvas of, how do we even get people to the site? How do we get them engaging? How do we keep them in that feedback loop? And I think one of the key ways that we've been able to kind of develop a real audience there, and an interest in kind of being involved on many different projects, is by asking people to sign up and maintain connection with us through the follow button, and using the email tools as well. I think we're still a ways to go. Like when I look at Canterbury Bankstown's case studies, like they have such amazing ideas around like gamification and stuff like that. We're still getting used to, using all of the tools and making sure that, things like participatory funding, and that funding tool, getting the rest of the organization's head around how all of that works, has been a real journey. But you know, with upcoming projects, we're using all of those kind of tools, and you know, the sliding tool, as everyone talks about, is it's just very powerful. And the amount of times people come up to me in the office from the leadership team, from all levels of the organization, saying, I saw the collaborate page, like, wow, like, how did you do this, or how did you do that? It has always been really exciting. I think one of the ways that I didn't kind of really anticipate happening out of COVID and using this digital platform is the way that the different teams have adapted and kind of taken the whole website in another direction that I, from my community engagement brain focus, wouldn't have gone. So the learning space is a place in Rhodes, which is it's kind of part community space, part library, part tech shed kind of setup. They have like maker studios and all that kind of stuff over in Rhodes. And the 3D Print Club, the way that the program officers were able to use the follow tool and the news updates tools during COVID and beyond has been amazing, because they are basically, they've got all of the print club to come online, and they would send out these emails to them every month, or actually no, a lot more often than that. It's because people are just doing stuff now. I'm not even keeping track, because we've got so much interest in using the website, just because of, as some of the speakers have said, council websites themselves can sometimes just be a place of dark recesses and confusing information. Basically what they've done is give out different tasks that the 3D Print Club can take on, and they've used the news updates and then also the email tools as well to kind of keep that relationship going as well. Sorry, I don't know if I went off topic about the question you asked.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I think
just rambling.
No, I think that we're definitely interested in some of the unexpected outcomes, and I know that the 3D Print Club was one of the really big highlights. Were there any others that you sort of can point to about some of the unexpected outcomes of using digital engagement, and for the council to sort of really come together and sort of concentrate on that channel?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I think the local legends page was one that really, I guess, plucked at the heartstrings for a lot of people during COVID. It wasn't necessarily a unexpected outcome as much as just a beautiful way to establish an ongoing communication with the community. So what we did here was basically ask people to shout out, or send us in amazing like projects that people were doing throughout the community. So we've got people giving away free toilet paper to customers, gift care packages, different kind of businesses kind of participating in ways to help reach out to those in need during that really difficult period. I think this really resulted, I mean, obviously using the Gather tool made it really easy, but it also resulted in a lot of warm and fuzzies being, shared around not just this platform, but beyond, as examples of just how awesome the community is. So I think that has been a big part of how we will continue to use the HiVE and to use Collaborate Canada Bay, because it's actually kind of changed internal organization and the way that we all work together amongst ourselves and also with our community too. So I think out of the ashes of a really horrible year, we've been able to go really progress leaps and bounds in the way that we offer engagement opportunities to our community.
Yeah, it's really, really fascinating, Sarah. I wanted to ask Andrew just to collate some of those questions as you and I finish up. So we've got one more question, and then Andrew will take some questions from the audience. Sarah, if you were to sort of sum up 2020 and the journey that you and your team have been on, what would you say?
Oh gosh. I would say it was a lot of manic work, but I think as I mentioned, it's given us an opportunity to see how things can be done differently, and I think having this established site that was already kind of gaining momentum with the community and with the organization in terms of a really important tool in our arsenal for two-way communication with the community. I think it's really, and I don't want to use the word like revolutionized because I think we're still on the journey, but I think it's helped us to see just how much the community wants to work with us, but also how we can balance more face-to-face and virtual into the future. So, hybrid workshops, hybrid, book clubs, all kinds of things that we could actually, use this tool in the website in so many different ways. But I think it's just been overall quite an empowering year, despite despite all of the anxiety, I guess.
Yeah, and that's what it felt like from the outside with the work that we saw you guys doing. Andrew, are there any questions from the audience?
There's one from Olivia at Melbourne Water. How do you decide between using your council website and the HiVE for your different kind of activities, probably especially around that business hub for COVID-19, and how do you try and integrate the two?
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I didn't realize my video was off that whole time. Sorry. It's an ongoing conversation. I think a lot of the time we get this question because we wonder, what platform would be better. Generally, what I tend to, like my rule of thumb would be, if we're seeking out information or we're seeking out some sort of response, then we need to use a participation tool, right? So if it's just information, where it's, you've got your events newsletter or whatever it is like that, if it's static information, and I think that's similar to how everyone kind of uses it for consultations as well. If it's just in form, you don't really have a call to action. So it would generally be, similar for those community focused engagements as well.
Any other questions, Andrew?
That's the only real, one second. Yeah, that's the only real standout question.
Do you have any sort of finishing comments, Sarah, to add? There's a variety of different people in the community audience, some that are starting out, some that are in the midway of their journey. You're sort of 2 years into your journey. Is there any advice that you would give to those that are starting out?
I mean, for me, I think, try to continue to think about how you can use the website and the platform's capabilities, because it's endless. I probably ask Andrew, yourself, or the support team, 2 or 3 questions a week about, ways we could hack this, or can we do this? Like, I think constantly asking questions of the team is really important, because you guys inevitably will say, maybe not this, but how about this? Or we've already got that on the list of, developer plans. I also think that, and this is going to be a bit controversial, we put in a site-wide default that the community, when they want to engage with us, would sign up and create a profile. I don't know how widespread that is for everybody, but that has allowed us to keep a really strong and actually build a really strong and varied group of people within that database that we can consistently reach out to. And I know that email marketing is one of the most important things that is in your arsenal for promotions. And the, I guess, open rate and click-through rate of the Collaborate emails we send out is extremely high. So use the email tool as much as possible.
There is a question from Mantej. How many council staff are in council's engagement team and are involved with the HiVE? So
I am the only engagement coordinator. But I sit in the place team, so I have some support from our business admin officers, but it's just me. However, I have been working over the past 2 years to train as many people as possible to learn how to use Collaborate and the HiVE, and also just to understand the internal team process for engagement itself, so that we can get people on there. So like I said, I didn't even know how many emails the 3D Print Club team had sent out, because they are now so adept at it that they just kind of function on their own, and I'm able to support where needed. But I think the training element is really important to kind of spread the good word. And when people see those outcomes, particularly because we did something that was quite varied from just community consultation, you just get so much more buy-in.
How do you go on reporting back? That's probably one thing that's quite interesting to a lot of people, Sarah, from a reporting back both internally but to the community. That's a real focus for you guys, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So the feedback loop, and I think for all engagement kind of people, is kind of the most powerful element, because it really does keep it keeps the community on the journey. We just, again, it's through emails, it's through the news updates, keeping those group of followers that we encourage everyone to kind of get continuously involved in a project. The reporting back to the community, yeah, is I guess across the platform and then also externally too. But using all of the reporting features from Collaborate is also awesome, because as we all know, the leadership do like graphs and figures. So having those graphs to easily download and share around is very powerful.
Fantastic. I see that Anston says that they're using the follow and email as well to great effect. Thanks for sharing that, Anston. Well, I just wanted to say thank you very much, Sarah. We're really grateful to grab you before the bub comes. That was good timing on our part. And thanks for joining us today.